when we are in a social context as part of a group, using language is not only descriptive, it doesn't just describe reality, but it has social functions as well. And one of them is to test your loyalty and your commitments to a specific social group. This is something that is pretty well observable in how Trump, for example, is using language. He's not using it like a scientist does in the way of describing reality objectively, but he's using it as a loyalty test. And the crazier the statements are, the more disconnected they are from a felt and experienced reality, the more you prove your loyalty to the leadership, the more you prove that you're willing to switch your frame in such a way as to be still part of the in group. And this is something that people have to always keep track of. When we're using language in polarized times and in times of social warfare, we're not just neutrally describing reality and playing with opinions, changing opinions, thinking about an issue this and the next day thinking something different. We're not playing with different options, but we are using language strategically. We're using language to identify who is part of our group and who isn't. So truth, in other words, is secondary. What always comes first is group identity. Which group do you belong to? Which group do you identify with? And the truth aspect then only comes in second. And that's what I think we have been observing in the past few years, that no matter what you say, no matter what kind of research you do on an issue, it doesn't matter. What matters to people is first and foremost what kind of language has been given down, top down from the leadership. And once this is in place, so once we know where the narrative is going top down from the leadership, people find all kinds of reasons for why a specific position to them is reasonable. In other words, they find all kinds of reasons why they find a specific position to be convincing to themselves. And this is not new. In psychology, we have known this for quite a while, that we don't actually know why we believe things. Usually the reasons for why we believe certain positions are unconscious, and we have to actually bring them into the light. They're usually not the things that we give as arguments for why we believe something or why we think something is convincing to us. What makes an argument, for example, convincing to us is largely unknown to ourselves. We don't actually know why, for example, certain ideas stick with us while other ideas don't. The question is not one of logic, if you think about it, because logic doesn't really deal with the semantic content of with the actual meaning of sentences. It just deals with the form of sentences, and you can build all kind of meaningless sentences that are formally coherent, that formally are perfectly fine. The question is not a matter of logic. It's not that only logical statements are convincing to us, but it is a matter of what language actually plays, what role language plays within social contexts. And this is not something that is separate from human group identities and how we form social entities in the first place.